Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France? What? Boy ale with cheese. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And John.
And JD has returned from the grave.
Yay! See, I told you everyone, he didn't quit. He was still on the show.
That was a very long timeout that your wife gave you.
Well, yes.
So, since you haven't been here in a while, is there anything you want to share with the folks?
Oh, it's been busy, been working, been writing, doing stuff. So, it's the same old on my end.
Yeah? Well, that's good. Your son's feeling better?
Yeah, he had an strep throat. You wouldn't know it by watching him because he was running around like a crazy person, but he got one of those weird rashes on his legs that we just thought were kind of bug bites, and it turned out it was, it's a symptom of strep throat that, could lead to scarlet fever. So, you learn things as parents.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So he's good. He's
the
fine.
more you know.
That's good. I'm glad he's on the mend.
Yeah, he's fine. He's a warrior.
Just like his daddy.
Ironically enough, his daddy had scarlet fever when he was little.
Oh, there you
I
go.
was too young to remember what it looked like, though, so,
Cool. How about you, John? Anything new with you since last week?
Let's see. Tried to finish up all of the CW series, because I'm way behind, especially in Arrow.
So am I.
Watched the last Lucifer, and then found out that it got canceled. I'm buying new furniture for my living room now. I got angry. And
Did Hulk smash?
Hulk smashed. They're canceling that was just where it left off was, oh my God. There's no way. There's some talk that it might be brought back on another I don't know, another station or something. Mm-hmm. It depends, but there are apparently a lot of people in Hollywood that are upset that it got canceled too. So it's got some pull. We'll see. Otherwise, nah, just the week.
Well, we now officially know that you got your credentials for New York Comic Con.
Oh, yay! I get to be on my feet for 5 days, 17 hours a day.
Yay!
Bugging people, getting thrown out, sneaking back in.
Yes, but hold on. I found something out. Is that as press, we can go into the press lounge and relax.
Yeah. When you're relaxing, what aren't you doing, Dave?
Getting interviews.
Getting interviews, yes. When I need to relax, I relax over at the Rooster Teeth booth, where I can give haunting looks over at the voice actors for Ruby and see if I can get any of them to talk.
And get hit with a sexual harassment lawsuit. Oh, wait.
Well, hey, at least I got 2 of the voice actors before that happened.
So, I actually have been getting caught up on Westworld because I only watched the premiere episode and then didn't go back to it.
I haven't seen any of the second season. How is it?
Well, here's the thing. Do you watch it at all, JD?
I watched some of the first season but didn't finish it.
Okay.
So I'm not really into it, no.
This season is I don't know how you felt about the first season, but this season really is a slow burn compared to the first season. And it's like the writing's still good, but I kind of feel like they went into this season not fully knowing what they were going to do. And like some of the complaints we've had about the Marvel Netflix shows, it feels like they're stretching things out to fit into a season of, 10, 12 episodes, as opposed to, well, let's just make a 6-season episode and make it tight and make it really good. You know what I'm saying?
Or by filling in those episodes with good stuff, because if you're a writer, you should be able to do that. You can add substance, but yeah, I get it. I don't know.
The consensus I've seen on Twitter seems to be this season isn't sticking the landing quite as much as last season did. Like I said, I'm not watching the show, so I can't make the judgment, but some people whose opinions I trust don't seem to be quite as enamored with the show this year.
I've got the second season. It's recording on my DVR, so I've got all the episodes. I can sit down and slam them like next weekend. But my problem is that I'm getting a little turned off, put off by all these series that are coming out, that they're all dystopian and grungy, and Battlestar Galactica, when that came out, and I tried to get into that, and I really couldn't, because I can't believe I'm saying this. What's the big one? The Dragons. Damn it.
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Even Game of Thrones has somebody you root for in every episode.
Kinda.
Most of the time it's Tyrion. Either he's being awesome or drunk or awesomely drunk. But you can usually, him or Brienne or somebody. But with these, it's just everybody being horrible to each other. Feels like Seinfeld. Never like that too, because it was just people being just bad to each other.
I think that's the problem with this season of Westworld, now that you've said it like that, in the sense of all the stories that we're following, with one exception, they're all hosts. So you're following this, like it's kind of like an android uprising, basically. Anyone who saw season 1, that's basically how the season ends, is that starting. And it's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel sympathy for these characters, and because in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, they're just robots.
Well, technically, you're supposed to feel sympathy for them because they've been treated like that, and they are becoming sentient. Technically, that's the question: are they sentient or not? And if they are, you should feel sorry for them because they're thinking, feeling beings, and they've been treated like this.
I mean, that's the core question of the show: are they sentient, or are they just following programming? Which then makes you question: are we just following programming from memories? And anyway.
But it's still just, okay.
But
people or robots being mean to each other.
Right. It's very dark. It's very down. And it's like, a good majority of the robots want to kill all the human beings anyway. So I don't know why I should be rooting for any of them.
Yeah. I mean, I find that good stories, and JD, you can tell me if I'm really wrong on this. But and this is probably just my preference, but I find good stories are the ones where, there's conflict, but that conflict is a result of somebody trying to accomplish something or save somebody or do something towards the good, and not just to survive all the time and get worn down or, just to stab somebody in the back.
Are we talking about The Walking Dead all of a sudden?
I was going to say, that's the reason I don't watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah, me neither. That's why and I get what you're saying. Like, there are people that really connect with that mindset of a show or some piece of fiction where everybody is a little dirty and everything is shades of gray. And, I don't respond to that kind of stuff a lot from the fiction that I like to consume. I like my heroes have feet of clay, but not necessarily in the mud. Mm-hmm. Because I do need, that's just me. I need something to believe in as a character, as a viewer or a reader or whatever. But, I don't know. I haven't watched the show, so I can't speak to it. I know that I have trouble connecting with The Walking Dead. I didn't connect with the comic because I thought it was just too damn depressing. There's no hope. There's no end in sight. So that's why I never clicked with the show. I never watched Breaking Bad because, one, I just didn't, and two, by the time I knew what was going on, I just wasn't really interested in a show about where the protagonist is really the antagonist. I could be totally wrong on that, and I'd missed an amazing show, but it's just kind of the way I feel about my fiction, especially serialized fiction.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Going from the muck and stories that depress us. Let's talk about something a little bit uplifting. I'm sure you two are aware that it is Pride Month.
Yes.
For our LGBT community out there. And we at Superhero Speak have decided we want to give back a little bit. So launched actually today, the day of recording this, but this is going to go up Wednesday. We have launched a what's the word I'm looking for? A limited time design in our Teespring store called Be an Ally, and so it has our symbol on our logo on the front, which is in the rainbow flag colors, and it has I'm sorry, I'm getting a message here.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
The t-shirt, yeah.
Sorry. It has a t-shirt with our logo in the rainbow colors. It says, be an ally, be a friend. And 50% of all the proceeds will be going to the Trevor Project. Those who are not familiar with the Trevor Project, it is a crisis counseling center for and suicide prevention line for LGBT youth. And it's a organization that I believe in strongly because I believe suicide prevention is something that we need more of. And, you know, a lot of LGBT youth is very, what's the word? They have a hard time, you know, and you know, these are kids that when they come out at a young age, they get rejected by their families, you know, and that's very tough. So they do a great job of trying to help these people, you know, see a better way and see a better light. So we want to do our part to support them. So again, just go to our Teespring store. There's a link in the description. There's a link on our website. And there will be a special link in our newsletter, if you're a subscriber to our Superhero Speak newsletter, that if you follow that link, you will get free shipping on any of these items from our store. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, make sure you do that on our website, superheroespeak.com. And yeah, we're hoping to raise a good amount of money. So, you know, we got a t-shirt, a mug, tote bag, and some stickers. So whatever level you feel like donating it.
So as a guy who works with teenagers every day, teenagers they're emotional. Like everything when you're a teenager is blown way out of proportion, whether it's whether it's a real thing, whether it's something completely minuscule in the grand scheme of things. To them, everything is major and it's part of growing up. So, to come to grips with what you are and to be denied by people that are supposed to love you unconditionally is something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. So I'm very proud to be involved in something like this and whatever we can do to help people know that they're not alone and help people know that there are people there for them, I'm all for and I'm proud to help with.
Yeah. Just you know, not to spend a lot of time on this, but growing up, my best friend, he's gay. He lost his parents at a young age, so he didn't come out until actually they were gone. But, you know, I spent many a night on the phone with him, you know, for hours, just listening to him, you know, crying and being upset and just being like, you know, why don't people accept me? And it would be so much easier if I was just straight, but I'm not. And, you know, just trying to let him know I was there as a friend, you know, and that's all we're asking, you know, with this campaign is, you know, let people know you're there as a friend, you know? All right. John, you back?
Yep.
Okay. So moving
on.
Like
you could get rid of me that easy. No matter how much you try.
Maybe it was just the bourbon made your hearing go for a second.
Dude, brandy. I'm drinking brandy.
Brandy.
Get it straight.
Okay. Speaking of drunken apologies, moving on to the news.
Okay.
Best segue.
Yes. So we're talking about some Marvel news here, and of course, their lovely editor-in-chief, CB
Cebulski.
There you go. Yeah, as a Polak, I should be able to say that easily. He offered what's the word I'm looking for? Apology for the controversy that came out about him at the beginning of this year.
Was it one of those apologies where they say, "I'm sorry, you are offended"?
No. Basically, he said that he always wanted to work on those properties, and he always wanted to work on that stuff. And you know, he basically trying to say, let me read it here. Going back to the 60s when Marvel was created, it was created by a number of white men here in New York who were working in our studio. But now we do not have any artists that work in Marvel. Ad popped up as I was reading that.
Timing.
But now, how many artists that work in Marvel? All our writers and artists are freelancers and around the world. So our talent base has diversified. Oh, okay. So that's that. He's trying to throw diversity into, like, as he's apologizing for this. I always wanted to write and tell stories, and it was a different time in cultural politics. There we go. And I made some very bad choices at that time. Ones that I regret, and then I have since made amends for, and I have been working to, really kind of put that behind me. So like he's basically saying, I'm sorry, but it was a different time, so we should just move on. And it wasn't that long ago.
It was a little over a decade ago.
Right. And
so there's statute of limitations on that stuff, or
so I'm gonna take a surprisingly different approach to this than I think you guys expect from me. I kind of get where he's coming from on this. Like, during the Quesada era at Marvel, they didn't want people who were on the editorial side of things or on the business side of things writing their books. So I understand why Cebulski went with a pen name, as we'll say, and I get it. And I get, especially for the imprint that he was writing for, and that was back when manga was really selling big, and it was totally a sales thing. And I think that we are a lot more conscious of these things nowadays. It doesn't excuse it. It is a huge screw up. I don't think it's being blown out of proportion by any stretch of the imagination. Like, you got to call people out when they screw up. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is something that people need to consistently, rake him over the coals for. I don't think he was actively denying people a chance to. Marvel was actively denying, Asians or anyone else a chance to work for them at the same time. I think it's a little culturally insensitive. While ironically, it's culturally insensitive while trying to glorify another culture, I guess. Because Cebulski does connect a lot with Japan and Japanese stuff. So I get where he was coming from. I do think that it does fall into the whole white privilege thing of I love this, so I'm going to try to become a part of it while being a little oblivious to what you are yourself. Like, I think speaking of stepping in the mud, it's basically one of these things. I don't know what you can really do to make up for it. You just got to say, I screwed up and move on.
You're right, and I agree with that sentiment. I have a different view of it in the sense of, I don't really, there's a history of writers taking under a new pen name to get more accepted to who their target audience is, right? When Stanley Lieberman changed his name to Stanley because he didn't want people to know he was Jewish. Also, he wanted to save his real name for when he wrote novels.
Jack Kirby is Jacob Kurtzman.
Exactly. Jack Kirby is another great example. J.K. Rowling actually used her initials so people didn't know that she was a woman when she first got published, so that she wouldn't be prejudged as a woman, right? So to a point, I get it. I'm not defending it. I think where the big misstep is here is once he stopped working on the book, they should have announced it, or found a way to slowly let people know what was going on. Because it almost appeared as if he was defrauding Marvel at the time, because he was working at Marvel as an editor and then working under this pen name.
How could they not know that it wasn't?
They did know.
Him?
No, they did.
They did know. They tried to deny it at first.
Because let's be honest, man. Sales drive everything. You have a manga-inspired line. You want a Japanese writer, a Japanese American or Japanese writer. It's a total cluster. In retrospect, when you talk about it, it's a bad idea. And it's different. It's different when Jack Kirby and Stan Lee take those waspy sounding names because it has they think that let's be honest, there's a significant part of the country, especially in the 30s, who might not read books by Jewish guys. So it's different. I mean, it's like these were trying to whitewash their names to make them sound more appropriate for the era, I guess, where this one's trying to embrace, something, Asian. I mean, it's
different times.
Different times, but I mean, at the same time, it is deceptive. It is, but it's not, you're right. It happens all the time. Like in the publishing world, there's men that write Harlequin romance, but they all have female pen names because their books would never sell if they just wouldn't. If guys were writing it, it's the truth. So that's why I don't think that he's certainly not the first or the last person that's going to do this. Is it a little gross? Maybe a little bit, but when you get down to it, all capitalistic business practices are kind of gross on one level or another. So I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that big a deal.
The part that I'm missing here is, and I think I know the answer is they didn't, but like it doesn't even seem like they tried to release a book under his name first to see if it would sell well. Like they didn't even take the chance.
Because that was the Marvel policy at the time. They wanted to, because remember when DeFalco was running Marvel, you had to, if you edited, you had to write. And that was one of the things when Quesada took over, it was like, no, there was a clear delineation. The writers write, the editors edit. That was it. So this was more of a, like, yeah, CB can write, but he's also part of this team, so we want to keep it separate, so let's do it. Like, if he had written under John Smith, nobody would care. But the fact that it was Akira Yoshida, I mean, like, that's a little more questionable.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah. So on a move that's probably not as questionable from Marvel, but, it's a why not? Cashing in on the Infinity War. The next Marvel crossover big event seems like it's going to be Infinity Wars. Because why not? Yes. There was the article that I found was interesting because it's the original promotional art had Death Wins on it, and it's Death.
It looks they're saying it looks a lot like Lady Death, right?
No,
the
one I'm
look
looking at
anything.
doesn't look anything like Lady Death.
No.
Oh no, it's a woman. They're saying Death Wins. Yeah, she's a little method out. She's got like a power suit or whatever, and the laser double-edged sword. But it could still be Lady Death. It's who knows.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think. I mean, I'm not feeling it. And if I'm gonna be a Marvel geek for a moment, Death Wins was also the kind of tagline of the Cancerverse event that kind of wiped out the Marvel, the Marvel Space Universe in like 2010, 2011-ish. Mm-hmm. So it might have something to do with that more, but I'm not feeling Lady Death on this one. I think maybe we're supposed to think about that, but that ain't her.
It's interesting because, I mean, the characters featured in all the artwork are, the characters from Infinity War, with a couple exceptions.
Except for
and Adam Warlock. But so it's like, so that brings a question in my mind. What do you guys think? Do you think cashing in on the popularity of the movie will boost comic book sales, or do you think it's too far gone?
Maybe.
It depends on if they do it right. This is a chance if they do it right, and they have really good writing and really good artists, and they pull this off correctly, then it will help their sales, at least for it might be able to create a wave they can ride for a little bit.
I think it will. Oh, sorry, go down.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, if they screw it up, then it's just gonna make things worse. Okay.
I think it will artificially boost sales because remember, we're not selling to consumers. We're selling as comic book business. You don't sell to the consumer. You sell to the store. So I think the stores will boost their intake to get people that will come in and will see the word Infinity Wars written on a book and make the connection. Oh yeah, like the movie. That's basically what got Bob Harris fired, was not having an X-Men comic and TV guide that was relatable to the X-Men film that had come out in 2000. Right. So you need to have that. Is it going to change the business? No, not really. And I think that Marvel knows that. Like it's not going to change overnight. But if you gain a handful of fans in every store, well, then you've just grown your business.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do. I mean, Jerry Duggan's a good writer. Mike Deodato, one of my favorite artists. Like, I don't think it's going to be bad by any stretch of the imagination. So why not? You got to have crossovers. Might as well have one. Like, this is what we do. We bounce from one event to the next. So you might as well have one that relates to what everyone's going to be talking about. Movie's going to make like $2 billion. Be silly not to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like I said, all capitalistic practices are gross in one way or another.
Yeah, it's true. I question it because sometimes I feel like the big two at least don't get how, the direct market is one of the biggest factors of killing the comic book industry. Cause, only collectors, for the most part, go into comic book stores, and it's not like the old days where the drugstores had them on a rack and even the bookstores had them on racks and whatnot. So
But you got to get them in, and plus and again, we've talked about on the show before. The digital is a way to get those people.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't come into the store, but they're much more likely to buy it on the phone or on their iPad or on their Kindle or something. And you need to have something that appeals to people that are coming in the first time. Like, and the words infinity are going to do that.
Yeah, and exactly, because they're going to, if they're like doing a Google search for Infinity War for the next movie, and it happens to come up with, oh, by the way, there's a comic book out called Infinity Wars.
Yeah. That's a good. I'm going to leave that to the audience. I want to see what you guys think.
Don't leave it to them. What do they know?
Do you guys think this will help comic book sales? And also, let us know, because I would think if they want to push digital, we'd see more advertising online for this, which is something that I've noticed I don't see it a lot for comic books anyway. I want to say 10 years ago, but not as much now. But let us know what you think. You going to go pick up Infinity Wars and see what it's all about? Or is it too little too late?
So I guess the question is, when you're talking to advertising, like you can't preaching to the converted is just wasting money. So you got to put them in different spots. And they're going to be in spots where, guys like us might not necessarily see them.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
And you have the problem of targeted advertising on the net. You rarely see anything outside of your little bubble of whatever they've associated with your account or your number. So that's going to make it doubly hard.
Taking a class in Facebook advertising stuff right now, let me tell you, it is way harder to find people than it used to.
Yeah, because you don't get random advertisements, and we
all right, so you just brought it up. So I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. One of the most annoying, since I run the Facebook page, one of the most annoying things is every once in a while when I go to boost a post, and like I almost went to boost a post today, and I was like, let me wait a couple days. The default target audience is people who like your page.
That's why this is don't boost posts. Boosting posts throw money away. Run targeted campaigns.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
And you might want to delete that from the show. But I mean, don't just boosting a post. Like this is one of the things I've just learned. Boosting a post is literally just pissing money into the wind. Like you're much better off creating a targeted campaign because then it goes outside the realm of people that have liked your page and you can actually target
that's what
more.
I'm saying. Like you can that's what I do. I go in and change the audience usually. So it's like
fair.
But it's
fair
like
enough.
Why is that the default? That's again, you're preaching to the choir. Why am I going to pay money to make sure that people who like my page see my post? They should see it because they like my page.
Totally.
The algorithms of Silicon Valley and screwing over the little guy. Anyway, I don't have a good segue to bring us into the next story. I just thought it was funny. Deadpool 2 released a new little commercial that I found hilarious, and that's why I brought it up. And it was set to the Golden Girls theme. Did you guys watch it?
No, I'm avoiding Deadpool. I didn't listen to our show from that week. I haven't seen it yet. I still want to see the movie eventually.
Man.
Oh, that's right.
Why do we have you around? Oh.
I have a 2-year-old. I have no time.
All right. It was funny. That's all I'm going to say. After you watch the movie, watch the video I sent. I thought it was cute.
And if you don't know what the Golden Girls are, just Google them.
I lived through the 80s. I loved the Golden Girls.
I'll include a link in the description of the episode. So, people can see what we're talking about. Don't want to ruin anything for JD.
I can check out for a minute if you guys want.
No, it's fine. Did you watch it, John?
The Golden Girls?
No,
it was the 80s, and there was really wasn't
the video,
that much on. So.
the commercial.
Yes, it had the definite Golden Girls feel to it.
That's all. There you go. Moving on. I know John's not a big console gamer. I don't know if JD, if we ever talked about your level of gaming.
Next to nothing. Video games is the one thing I never really got into.
All right. So for those of you like me, who were fans of video games, especially, what's the name of it? Darn it, Ultimate Alliance. The current rumor is that Square Enix is working on an Avengers game and that it will be a reboot of Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. At first when I heard this, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of exciting. But then I was like, I want something new. It's been so long. See, you guys don't game, so you don't get it, but it's like Marvel's string of bad adaptation games from their movies.
Oh dear, a bad game based on a comic book. I never would have guessed.
Like they had the Ultimate Alliance games, and then they had the Spider-Man games, which did really well. And then they had like an Iron Man game that was based on the first movie that was just really bad. It was very simplistic. It was really bad. It didn't do well.
Still really surprised.
There was one other one that like flopped, and they kind of just like stopped licensing games for a while. And basically they want to go with the model of just create creative games with the characters as opposed to worrying about having a property based on a movie or a particular comic book storyline. And so it's been a while since we had an Avengers game. And I liked Ultimate Alliance, but I mean that was 12 years ago, I think.
Is this the game with the commercials where the medic takes one step off of the ramp on the plane and then falls in his face and gets shot?
No, I can't remember the name of that game. That's kind of just like a online button smasher. You know, you kind of just run around, and you're a side character with the heroes, and you run around and help out. But no, and I think that's strictly PC too, or phone. Like this is going to be a console game. So
I was going to say everything's just too PC these days.
So the project Square Enix is making, and it's called the Avengers Project. The rumor is that it is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, but with a God of War type twist. The
God of War type twist.
Not God of War interface for the latest God of War, which I haven't played, but everyone I know who's played it said it is awesome. So I'm gonna probably take a check that out. The idea is that it's not just a button smasher. Like you actually have to do specific moves to get past certain enemies. You have to think a little bit more, kind of like the Arkham games were. Like you could button smash in that, but if you really wanted finesse, you had to like know the moves and do certain moves. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So I guess I'm the only one.
When I talk about pro wrestling sometimes on the show and you guys just get really quiet.
Touche.
Feeling that.
I mean, I play games, but it's mostly Minecraft and Vikings. So,
I like Tetris.
Tetris. I mean, it's been a while.
I'm serious.
Well, I get it. It's been a while since I've been into Command and Conquer and Fallout 4 and all those.
So I won't even mention that Rocksteady has announced that they're going to be making a Superman game. It's the same company who makes the Arkham Asylum games. So,
but Superman is the worst possible thing you could make a game about.
Yes.
It's like, what do I have to do? Go out and farm Mixelplick in order to get power points so that I can get stronger? He's Superman, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Because in every game, it's either really, the mechanics are really difficult, or like there's a really bad Nintendo 64 game that was just so hard to control. People got frustrated and just stopped playing it. Or it's like, we'll depower him, and you have to collect things to get your powers back as you go through the levels. It's like, so anyway. Speaking of stupid Superman games, the first official image of Shazam was released. Did you guys look at that?
I did.
Just like drinking a soda. Zachary Levi standing next to it. He cheered it up.
He looks kind of happy too.
Zachary Levi, right? Not Shazam.
Yeah, no, they both look pretty happy. I guess they're going for the here's this big guy that's sucking down a Slurpee like he's a kid.
They're going for what would a little kid do if he was put into a giant superhero body. And I dig it. It's Shazam. It's Captain Marvel. It's what it's supposed to be. I'm on board.
Yeah.
So I have a question. It's a still image, but it looks like in the picture that the lightning bolts lit up. Costume. Do you think that's an effect that's going to be in the movie, or is that just the way that the drawing was rendered?
Oh, it's just what I want, to be blinded every time I look at the screen. No. I think
it's rendering.
Yeah, it's shiny.
Okay. All right.
So once we get Shazam, does that mean we get Isis next?
I would assume we get Black. I think we get Black. Look, for real, I think we get Black Adam next.
Black Adam. Yeah, I know Black Adam. It's just
Sorry.
I was going for the 70s reference.
The
but,
power
okay.
Shazam ISIS Power Hour, I think it was called.
Yeah.
I'm a lot younger than you guys.
Oh
I
no,
know.
it's funny.
There was even an ISIS show in the 50s, I think, or early 60s.
I don't know about
It was in
that
black
one.
and white.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was this woman archaeologist finds an amulet and she can turn into ISIS, and it was live action, and it was ISIS and Shazam Power Hour, and they had a couple of episodes where they crossed over.
Yeah,
And this was in the 70s.
Let's not jump the gun just yet. Let's wait for Shazam to come out and see how it is.
I would much rather see The Rock play Black Adam than whatever this was.
Well, you know, I don't know. It depends on how well The Rock can play evil.
Trust me, The Rock can play evil.
I don't know, man. When he was in, what was it, The Mummy?
Well, The Mummy was like his first acting job, and he had like 2 lines, and it was mainly CGI. But every time else, he's pretty much played a good guy. But trust me, as a guy who lived through the Attitude Era, The Rock can do the villain.
Right, but can he do like Vulture villain level? You know, I mean, like that creepy. I'm ready to shoot you in the head just for looking at me wrong.
But that's not the Black Adam character, though. The Black Adam character is a lot different. Like, Black Adam is one of the more sympathetic. Like, if they're doing like the Jeff Johns style Black Adam, it's one of the more sympathetic villains. Like, and that's what makes him a cool, complex character. He's not cackling. He is the dark side of Captain Marvel in that he's not innocent. But it's just like you can almost understand his motivations sometimes. Like, you can sympathize with him, I should say. You can't condone them, but you're like, I get where he's coming from. And I think The Rock can do that. And I think that's what makes Adam a cool character. And it's that juxtaposition with Shazam that I think is going to make for a great movie eventually.
Okay, I will grant you that, because a lot of people feel sympathy for The Rock. And if he can leverage that in his character while being, well, a little evil, that would actually work. Because that would mean he's already got half of the character in the bag.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited at the potential of it. Like, they announced that, years ago, that he was going to play Black Adam. I think it's perfect casting. It's going to be fun whenever they get around to it. So here's hoping the Shazam movie works.
Right. Because that's what also I've been thinking, is that if the Shazam movie doesn't work, we're not going to get a Black Adam movie. So
no.
Yeah.
And once again, we'll be left with Wonder Woman, and that's it.
No, we got Batman and Superman too.
And we'll only be left with Wonder Woman, and that's it.
Yep.
This wasn't on the docket, but did you guys see that now? Batman, the guy who plays Batman, Affleck, has come back and said that no, he wants to continue playing Batman again. Like, he's been so in the news back and forth about this. Any thoughts on what could be going on? Do you think he wants out, or is it he threatens to leave so that something will go his way, and then when things start not going his way again, he's like, I think I'm gonna bow out.
Maybe he caught whiff of a good script coming up.
I think you might be right. I think maybe he's had some conversations. I think it's Matt Reeves is attached to direct the Batman, and maybe he kind of likes what's coming down the pike. I mean, can you blame him?
No.
Like, you saw those movies that he's had to make. I mean, and he's not the problem in them.
No.
Like, he could have been a really good Batman if given something decent to work with.
You've seen the memes on the internet, right? Those clips of him and Cavill doing an interview about Batman v Superman, and that they have that few seconds of clip where it basically, the caption is that moment Affleck realizes that the movie sucks.
And then
just him looking really downcast.
Hello, Darkness, my old friend starts playing.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, no, I mean, I guess if he is getting excited about something enough to start switching sides and going back to, hey, I can't wait to play this character again, that might give me some hope.
Yes. Speaking of, no, I agree. And I can't, we'll see what happens. And, speaking of hope, and what is that noise?
So I'm in my basement, and my kid has a toy, kitchen set, and it's just decided to go crazy on me, and I was really hoping you guys couldn't hear it.
So,
hey, could have been worse. Could have been a Furby.
Oh, good. I can change my segue now to something that'll get us in trouble. speaking of people who should be in the kitchen, teaser art for Wonder Woman
Oh,
Jesus.
dude. Oh my God, why?
has confirmed that it is going to be set in the 80s.
Oh, that is good and pure. Why?
For the reaction. Purely for the reaction.
Well,
Mission-
thank you.
Mission
We'll get all that Twitter hate, you know? Is this one of those things where any advertising is good advertising?
Yes. So, and the teaser art basically just says, it has WW84, so I'm assuming that means 1984.
Now, I was looking through, pages and pages, trying to figure out why they picked 1984, and the only thing I can come up with is she's going to fight a mechanized George Orwell.
So I think I have a theory. 1984 is a huge year in pop culture. And because, and a lot of it too has to do with the connotations of the Orwell book. So I think it's got a nice ring to it. I think there's a lot of cool things going on. And I think when you specifically use the term 1984, it connects to like that mid 80s, like we're talking peak 80s of 84. Like I think that you're going to get a lot of that Americana. You're going to get a lot of that 80s vibe. And I think it's going to really embrace that era. And I think it could be a lot of fun, to be quite honest with you, because I think the 80s are a largely ignored era when people are making movies like this, like a superhero movie. Mm-hmm. So I think this gives it a chance to be different. And I don't know, I'm more excited, to be quite honest with you, than I was earlier.
That was the year of the Apple Macintosh commercial for 1984.
Yeah. I have a slightly different theory. They spent so much money on all that 80s property for Ready Player One that they need to cash in on some of it.
Gotta do something with all that stuff.
So they want to use some more songs off of Van Halen's 1984.
And that's one thing I hope they don't do, because then you're becoming Guardians of the Galaxy.
Agreed.
Yeah, they're already trying to copy that.
Well, Suicide Squad did that. Like Suicide Squad tried to embrace the Guardians of the Galaxy music thing with just using random pop music, and it didn't work at all.
But that was after they like reshot it and cut it up, and they didn't even finish. They didn't even finish it. They didn't even finish having a intro song for each villain. They stopped like the last two, I think it was.
To be fair, it takes like 37 minutes to introduce every villain. This is a movie with the longest act one of any movie in history.
Yeah,
it just keeps going and going.
Yeah, no, agreed. I also, again, the real honest answer, I think, 84, you're right, JD, it connects a lot of things in people's brain automatically to pop culture and the time, but also setting it in the 80s lets them easily disconnect it from the rest of the MCU and lets her have her own stories.
DCEU.
I'm sorry, you're right, DCEU, not the it's really disconnected from the MCU.
Although it might not want to be. It might want to be more connected to the MCU.
Wonder Woman might want to jump ship. She's gonna...
It is interesting, though, that they're doing the Wonder Woman movie in the 80s while the Captain Marvel movie's taking place in the 90s. That's kind of, I'm sure, coincidental.
Yeah, purely coincidental.
I don't know. In that case, it might actually be coincidence. I don't know.
Well, they said, I think we knew Wonder Woman was going to be in the 80s before Captain Marvel was going to be in the 90s. So that's the meeting over at Marvel. All right, let's set Captain Marvel in the 80s. Wonder Woman's going to... All right, let's make it the 90s. Everyone liked grunge.
You sure? Wait a minute. Are you sure it wasn't the other way around?
John might have a point there.
Because, DC, as much as it pains my soul, they've been following, not leading.
Yeah, true.
And we knew about Captain Marvel before we knew about Wonder Woman.
All right. You could be right. I hate admitting when you're right, John.
Depressed about this. Well, good. That's me 1 and you 20. Never mind. Let's see.
Moving on.
What else?
Speaking of things that should be right but are so wrong. Have either of you seen Solo yet?
I did.
You can go see Solo, but you can't see Deadpool.
Ironically enough, I went to a drive-in movie this weekend that was a double feature. It was Solo and Deadpool, and my kid refused to go to sleep, so we had to leave. So we got in Solo, didn't get in for Daredevil. Deadpool. I want to see Daredevil.
Daredevil movie. Yeah.
So So I wanted to. Okay, so I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it, John?
No,
Okay.
I haven't.
So I don't want to talk about the movie itself, and I don't want to talk about any of the stupidity around it. You know, there's this people who don't like things about it. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I can't judge anything on it. What I want to talk about.
Is it really?
What?
Yeah. Is it really doing that badly?
Yes. Like that. Now the question is it a flop? So as of this recording, worldwide it's earned $264 million, with a budget of $250 million. And that's, 2 weekends that it's been out. And here's my thing. So there's two issues around this. Number one, this was supposed to be a lower budget movie, right? It was supposed to be $130 or $140 million. But of course they fired the two directors, while they were almost, I think, 3/4 of the way done the movie. Brought in Ron Howard. He had to refilm 70% of it, and which then shot their budget up to $250 million, right? So if it was only 130, 140, right now it'd be a success because it had doubled its budget, right? But now it's got to, because of advertising and everything else, it's got to make $500 million to be considered a success. But my other argument is it's only the second weekend. Like, we have this thing in this country, and I know it's true to a point but we've gotten to where it's like, if it doesn't have a blockbuster weekend, it's a failure,
But because it is, for the most part. I mean, the movies like this, these tentpole films, they have to make all their money front end. Because it won't make it. They don't have the legs. Like, the movies that have legs traditionally are the ones that are smaller budget, that do kind of catch on. Like, these movies aren't designed to do that. They're designed to explode and then fizzle. Like, all of them do it. No movies, like, what's Avengers making right now? It doesn't, that's just the way the business is. And I think that you're right. That is the problem, is they had to make this damn movie twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen it, and, my quick review, it's fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It's fine.
That was a really quick review, but okay.
That's kind of the way I felt about it. But that being said, the problem with this movie is it was almost like cursed from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody really wanted to see this, without the right people involved. And they hired the Lego Movie guys thinking they were going to get a serious movie. Like, what? Come on. And it just
exactly.
And Ron Howard's a great filmmaker, but I tend to think his stronger work is when he's kind of doing his own thing and not picking up a property.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody loves the Da Vinci Code movies, Yeah. So I think that this just not the right. It just didn't work. And then there's the law of diminishing returns. Like it's not. We're getting to the point where Star Wars movies aren't like special anymore, and Marvel's able to kind of pace these things out where you'll have a big movie with a smaller movie. And I think you're right. This was supposed to be a smaller movie, but it just kind of got out of control. So now it's kind of become a victim of its own circumstance.
Well, it's also one of those things where, like, the talking heads, like I saw an article on CNN, an article on Forbes, where they're basically saying, like, this movie was a failure. Does that mean the rest of the franchise is going to be a failure? And they had two sequels planned, but are they going to go ahead with them because the movie failed? And it's like, as the company, do you really? I mean, obviously you look at it that way, but at the same time, you've also got to keep in mind, like, we messed up in the beginning, had to fire those directors. So should they be looking at it like, no, this was a $130 million movie and it was successful, so they should greenlight this?
No, they shouldn't, because they did spend that much money. The reality is the money that was spent, they're not going to get the return on the. But the problem is they've already paid for Star Wars, so it's not like it's a great loss. But I don't know if there's. I mean, like, that being said, the word of mouth, and it's like I said, it's decent. Like, and after you see the movie, it's totally set up for a sequel. But and I love Star Wars. Like, we had a million conversations about The Last Jedi. I don't have any. I mean, like, I didn't really want to see it. Not because I was mad, not because I was, I had some thought about it. It looked okay. It didn't. There's nothing about this movie that inspired me. Man, I can't wait to see Solo. Having seen it, I kind of felt the same way afterwards. And I think that's kind of the audience take on it, is if there's never a sequel to this movie, no one's going to care.
Well, I think they've got two problems. Number one, they're starting to turn this into Star Trek. And number two,
wait,
they're turning it into what? Because they're putting out, they're diluting it. they're putting out movies. They're doing all this backstory. They're, if they had stuck with the grandiose space epic saga, right? Which is what Star Wars is. It's an epic saga, space battle type franchise. If they'd stuck with that, they'd be fine. But now they're doing the whole little piecemeal, like you said, big movie, small movie. They're diluting it, and that means it goes back to what we were talking about Netflix. If you have 13 episodes, but you've only got 5 episodes worth of content, then you're doing filler. So they have the same problem with, say, a lot of anime. But the other problem is that they're not only just putting out these, all of these movies because, hey, we can make money off of it. They're doing a soap opera type thing. And it's about the same people every single time. They have a chance to go expanded universe on this, but on film. And I'm sure there are people out there with stories to tell based in this universe that are much more interesting than, well, I wonder what happened that one time that Han Solo went to use the bathroom in the Millennium Falcon.
Well,
it's like,
okay,
we don't need to know that.
So that's okay. So I agree with your analysis, but I disagree with your initial premise. It's not that they turned Star Wars into Star Trek, because the main problem is Abrams turned Star Trek into Star Wars. The problem is it's a prequel issue. And prequels answer questions that nobody ever asked.
And this movie is one of the most egregious of that.
Oh, yes.
I'll give you that.
I know.
Egregious.
I've listened to enough reviews. I know they answer questions like, how he got his name? Like, can't you just assume that was his name? Why did they have to give an explanation to it? It was stupid.
And it's really lame how they do it. Like I said, the movie's fine, but like, everything it's like the problem with prequels is they have to answer they feel the need to do all these check boxes. Like, and they need to answer every single question. And we're supposed to believe that everything that defined Han Solo happens in this one stretch of film. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just, I hate prequels. I don't hate them. Like, I'll say I hate what prequels have become because they don't just tell a story about a character. They have to like fit it into what the character becomes. Mm-hmm. And it almost like takes away the character journey in a lot of ways. It kind of robs of what we saw from them initially, because they have to go back and fill in all these blanks, and it just doesn't work, man. It's so unnecessary. There are a lot of things they could be doing with Star Wars, but they aren't. And I love The Last Jedi. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I've gone back and watched Rogue One a few times. If you take the last 10 minutes out of Rogue One, it's not that great.
Yeah.
It's really not that great. It's got a hell of an ending. But the first 2.5 acts that lead up to it, it's nothing special.
Yeah.
They're just too busy milking it. And they're making the mistake of sticking with what they know instead of letting somebody else tell a really good Star Wars story and not retread the same Solo / Skywalker people.
To be fair though, that's pretty much what it's so weird we're in this. That's pretty much what Last Jedi was. Like, Last Jedi is like, screw your damn childhood. That's kind of like that's kind of what they're saying the whole time. Rian Johnson's out there doing what he felt was right for a movie and not just trying to play the nostalgia beats. Mm-hmm. While this one is it's a cover band,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's one of the reasons, like, I love this show, but it's, to me, where it fell apart was Smallville in the last season, because they spent the good portion of the final season getting Clark Kent in a position to be the Superman we knew from the movies, the original movies. And it was just like, why? Like, you didn't need to, they didn't need to fast forward the way they did to push him into this. Like,
see, I actually had the different view. I thought the last 4 seasons of Smallville, he's basically Superman, but they just weren't going to call
right.
Superman. Like from the time he's working at the Daily Planet and he's with Lois Lane and they're married and but he can't really be Superman yet because that's just not the show that we have. I mean, and Smallville was another perfect example of like we were talking about these Netflix shows where you have 13 episodes, only 5 episodes of story. Smallville would have 6 good episodes a year, and then you were bombarded with 20 episodes of schlock every season.
And I kind of feel like that's where Gotham is right now too, because he's turning. Bruce Wayne's turning into Batman. Like, there'll be Batman soon. But they won't be able to put on the cowl because licensing.
They've said that he will be Batman in the last season, which is next year.
Oh, really?
Well, he better be Batman soon, or else all his villains are going to be like old men by the time he's actually a man.
Exactly.
He'll be Batboy. All right. All right. So if you haven't seen Solo like John and I, go out and give it a try. Let us know what you think. But
it's not a bad movie. I said it's perfectly fine. Like it's a good professionally made film. Like it's like I said, it hits everything. It just I don't know.
All right.
It's like eating a cheeseburger. Like sure, it tastes good in the moment, but afterwards you're kind of like, I don't feel good about myself.
All right. Two last quick stories here. Unrelated to Marvel or DC, believe it or not, or Star Wars.
Yes.
In one of the strangest casting news items that I've ever heard in my entire life, Jamie Foxx has been confirmed to be Spawn in the Todd McFarlane Spawn movie.
Are we sure about that?
Yes. So
you're not being trolled.
No. This article came from superherohype.com. And it was Jamie Foxx who confirmed it himself. So I like Jamie Foxx. I don't understand why anyone would cast him as Spawn.
He's got more range than I think anybody gives him credit for.
The rumors about the Spawn movie are that it's going to revolve mainly around the two cops. I can't think of their names. Sam and Twitch. And that Spawn isn't going to even talk in the movie.
That doesn't make sense.
That's a rumor, and like, let's be honest, Tom McFarlane's been talking about doing this new Spawn movie for well over a decade. I don't think anybody thought it was ever going to happen. It's going to be super low budget. Like, they're talking under $10 million. And it's going to be like, the movie he's been comparing it to is The Exorcist. So the Spawn character is going to be more of a background character, but I doubt that if you're casting Jamie Foxx, you're not going to use Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
so
they're
going to do something with it, but they're going to do something different. What that different is, I have no idea. But you can't make a full blown superhero movie or Spawn that I think Spawn when I think of it for that kind of money these days. So I am very, very curious to see what they do. If anything, it sounds crazy ambitious in a low budget kind of way, which makes it ambitious, to be quite honest with you. And Hollywood's answer is throwing more money at things. To sit there and go, we're going to do a low budget, introspective horror movie with an assassin of the devil. I don't know how they're going to do it. And I had no interest in this before. Now that Jamie Foxx is involved, there's got to be something interesting going on. There's got to be.
We'll have to wait and see.
For sure.
Again, and not until I see some footage, I can't make any comments. It just seems odd to me.
It's remarkably odd.
They're not even filming yet, right?
No.
So this might not even happen. We don't.
There's at least a 50% chance the movie never happens.
Yeah. But they have a script. They have a production company. They're starting to put together a cast. Mm-hmm. So because movies fall apart all the time, just like the Crow reboot.
Thank God.
Yeah, you can't redo Crow.
It definitely was a perfect product of its time. And I don't understand why Jason Momoa was cast to play the Crow in the first place.
Yeah, he's not even close. He doesn't have the acting.
Nothing against his acting. But he's a big, imposing guy. I mean, the Crow in the comic was never drawn like that, and that's part of the reason that Brandon Lee played him, because Brandon Lee wasn't a big, imposing guy, So, I thought it was an odd choice. And Corin Hardy, the director, exited as well. So
that's not ominous.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I don't.
It's done for now. Thank God.
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie that doesn't need to be remade. Shouldn't be remade. Like, the comic was perfect for the era. The first film was perfect for the early 90s. I don't think anybody really wants a remake of this movie.
And I didn't. I think to people that were hardcore fans of it like me, at the time, it's like saying, and I know the filmmaker and you's going to argue with this, but it's like saying, oh, well, let's remake Citizen
We'll make it dark and gritty, but it's already dark and gritty. We'll make it grittier.
Right.
We'll make it Batman v Superman gritty.
We can do a better job and introduce it to the kids of this kids of this age. It's like, just go watch Citizen Kane, you know? Like, just go watch The Crow.
I agree with that. There's no argument for me in that one. I mean, I don't think every property, and now I'm an advocate of remakes because I do think it gives a chance for a new property to be introduced to a new audience. But there's something about this particular movie that's so of its era that I don't want to, like, on the subject of Lee's, I don't want to see Enter the Dragon remake either.
Yeah.
You know? Just because there's a lot of good martial arts now doesn't mean that I want to see Tony Jaa doing the same story that Bruce Lee did in the 70s. There's just no reason for it. You know, there's a lot of other properties out there. The Crow was, and just like the circumstances of the movie and stuff like that, like, I don't need it. Like, I don't think anyone wants it. Like, that's a Brandon Lee thing, and forever that's going to be Brandon Lee. And I don't need it. Like, I just don't think that, and there's certainly, I mean, there's not people in the streets, like, screaming and crying that Jason Momoa is no longer going to be the Crow. Like, not everything has to be remade. Right. Like, not every property has to be milked like that thing in Last Jedi.
Really?
Like,
you had to go there.
I did. We're in Star Wars today, so.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement. This is a good thing. Sony, take the reaction of all the fans saying, oh, good. Just stop. Just find another property to make.
Or make something new, maybe? I don't know. Call me crazy.
Movies cost too much, man. Like, we're talking about, like, when $200 million is considered a flop, like, there's a problem. Like, it costs so much to make a movie now that you need to have an anchor in a property that you know people are into. Like, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you have to make your bets a little safer. And there's no guarantee that's going to work either. Like, studios aren't interested in making $10 to $12 million pictures. No. Like, that's what makes something like A Quiet Place in this year or Get Out last year so cool, is that they're movies that slip through the studio system and actually wound up being awesome to show that people can make good movies. But just like all the cool stuff is being done on TV now. Like, so studios have to give you this big cinematic experience. And part of that is hedging your bets. So we're going to see remakes. We're going to see, you know, proper book adaptations, comic book movies. Like, that's just where we are.
True. No, that's true. All right. So before we wrap it up, John and I have another interview from the great Philly Comic-Con. And it is James C. Mulligan. And John, you remember talking to James?
Yeah, it's been a while. We really are spacing these interviews.
He's a Disney artist. And we were.
Yeah, I bought a really nice print off.
Yes.
Too.
Actually, he gave us a couple prints. He was a really nice guy. After we talked to him for a while, he's like, "Oh, you guys should have these." One was Wonder Woman in the style, in the Disney style, and the other one was the one you took, right? Which was, do you remember?
Yeah, it was the Frozen.
Oh yes,
it was the yeah.
So yeah, like, he's a very talented artist. He's been working for Disney for over 20 years, I believe. Something that was not said in the interview is that he's actually good friends with Wozniak, the great and powerful Woz, which is kind of what got me interested in talking to the guy.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat little tidbit there.
But yeah, we had some fun talking to him and recorded this quick little 10-minute conversation. So please enjoy. Are we good?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. So we were walking around here at the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con, and John saw another Irishman and just had to stop and talk to him.
It was the smell of whiskey. That's what I thought.
That's like whiskey and Guinness.
Yep.
So we're here with Disney artist James C. Mulligan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good. So, yeah, I'm looking at this now. You're an official Disney artist.
I am, yes. I'm a published Disney artist. My association with Disney goes back 22 years. I started there in 1996. So my tutelage under the mouse is a couple decades now.
How does one go about getting a job with Disney? I'm assuming that's
I think it's got to be so different now. But a lot of times young artists come up to me and they ask that exact question. Mm-hmm. And I think that the most important thing is to have a portfolio that shows off your talent rather than your use of tools. So many young artists, especially with the apps and everything today, they've gotten really good at using tools, but they can't draw a figure to save their life. And I think a huge part of it is that you've got young artists that are kind of losing that ability to really bring out the artist from on paper and pencil instead of just digital work.
Okay, now I'm really not well versed in this. The difference between tools and actual talent, right? Does that mean, like, if they are trying to draw and they're trying to get an expression on a face, that they can use a tool to do that?
Absolutely. Well, you know, I think that a lot of young artists are kind of skipping the figure drawing classes and the rendering classes and stuff like that because, you know, there are some buttons you can click and it will render highlight and shadow on a figure versus being able to paint that and understand how light works and understand how muscle works underneath skin and different coloring.
I am not an artist and by any sense of the imagination, but I do art for each episode, right, in GIMP. And there's a tool where I just can highlight something and say, add a shadow to it, you know? And that takes no talent whatsoever. So, yeah, I totally understand.
And let me tell you, he has no talent, so it's just...
That's not true,
okay.
I'm sure.
So, what's very striking about your artwork is it's all hand-done, all hand-painted.
It is,
hand-colored. It's amazing looking.
Thank you.
The coloring looks like it's digital. And
well, I use old school illustration techniques. I mean, you know, Drew Struzan, who does the posters, he's done the posters for everything from, you know, the original Star Wars to Goonies to Harry Potter. And Drew's actually a friend of mine, and I've worshipped him my entire life, you know, and I think every illustrator is a massive Drew Struzan fan. But you know, I use a lot of the same old tools and techniques with airbrush and pencil, and I use acrylic gouache on most of my stuff. So it really has that old school feel, and hopefully has the glow that you just can't achieve in Photoshop.
Right. I was going to... So... I am friends with Greg Horn. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. A cover artist for Marvel, did Elektra and Daredevil covers for years. In fact, this is his work.
Oh, yes, he's wonderful.
That's why I automatically thought it was digitally colored, because he hand draws all of his work, but then he colors it in Photoshop.
And there's no shame in that in anything.
But I have to say, you put him to shame with your colors. Sorry, Greg.
Sorry, Greg. My goodness, that was not my intent. But I also, my work is, the originals sell in galleries.
Right.
So there is a great value in having something original, and it's truly one of a kind. It's you don't push a button and it pops out as being a digital piece or something in Photoshop. You've got the artist's actual DNA and blood and sweat and tears in that piece, and it's not something that can ever really be recreated. So,
right. Yeah. So what kind of things are you working on for Disney?
That
you're allowed to talk about.
Sure. Well, a lot of it is a lot of fine art based stuff. So we're already kicking into Christmas. So I've got some new Christmas pieces I'm working on.
Wow.
And right now, personally, I am doing a collaboration with Cirque du Soleil down in Mexico.
Oh, cool.
So the new at Vedanta, it's a new Cirque du Soleil theme park, and I'm heavily involved with them, and that's about all I can talk about right now. But I'm flying down there in a couple weeks and working some more on that.
So as an artist, right, you worked for Disney for 22 years, and this is something I ask of a lot of comic book artists.
Sure.
You've had to do Disney characters for 22 years.
Yes.
When do you get to do what you want to do?
The whole time, frankly.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have a non-exclusive. I'm able to do other properties. Disney's my heart, and it's my lifeblood.
Okay.
But you know, I've worked on collaborations with several DC artists, and I'm doing some Marvel work right now.
There's a beautiful Captain America on your
my
banner.
my cap. And then actually I am working on a project with DreamWorks. I'm associate producing a project with DreamWorks right now. So yeah, it's really fun with some Disney guys. So it's it's a family, and we all kind of
Minions too.
We're all no Minions, but we're also ADD. We decide that whatever we want to work on, we kind of do. But Disney's where my heart is, and it's obviously what I'm best known for. So.
Awesome.
Are there characters that you're the official artist for, or?
Well, I'm pretty well known for my Lilo and Stitch stuff. So I do a lot of Lilo and Stitch. And then I've got some of my original characters as well. There's Marina, who's a mermaid, and I'm actually developing a pilot for Marina right now. But she's very Disney-like, and because it's just so much in my DNA, that Disney style. But I've got a few of my own characters that I'm actually pretty well known for. And a lot of tiki bars around the country are starting to collect my stuff. So
neat. Because I've seen there's some Frozen stuff here.
Yes.
And
as we just had Elsa walk right by my table and look at. Hi, Elsa.
Hello, hi.
Anyway,
we'll be done soon, Elsa, and then
you don't have to let it go.
I will be back.
She'll be back.
Yeah, that must be at a lot of these Comic-Cons. Frozen is still like huge.
It is, and it's such an interesting thing that I think that part of that is the design, of course, of the film. It was just so beautifully designed, which I can't take credit for. It was the team that Brittany Lee and some of the other incredible artists over at Feature that created those characters that are going to be around a long, long time, I think. So
cool. Did you go to school for artistry?
I was actually a musical theater major.
Well, I can see the transition to that.
Yeah, at UCLA, but I was my emphasis was scenic design for theater.
Okay.
So it kind of went from scenic design, and if you look at my work is extremely theatrical. And it kind of, I capture scenes and moments in storytelling, it's very theatrical in its style. So I think it's just it is kind of a natural transition,
Cool. So you had mentioned young artists and not understanding figure drawing. What advice would you give to a young artist today starting out?
Draw every day, number one. Number two, make sure that there's really no shame in copying the masters. And I think if they always say if you want to really learn how to paint, copy a Rembrandt.
Okay. Yeah.
I learned by copying J.C. Leyendecker and some of these other old masters artists. I really try to learn the techniques, and then until you make it your own. But there's no shame ever in trying to kind of develop your work from learning from other artists. I think it's a wonderful thing to do.
You learn the technical aspects like perspective.
Absolutely,
and
yeah, absolutely. And then that's kind of how you make it your own. But I used to regularly copy Rembrandt and Michelangelo and some of the old masters. I just poured through those books for hours as a kid and looked at how lighting worked and how they did their shadows and glazing and everything. And I think there's only a few of us that do what I do as far as fine art. And that kind of, hopefully, just those techniques kind of carry through, and we're still keeping them alive. So,
cool. So where can people find you online?
JamesCMulligan.com. I'm also available at Disney stores. So if you go to DisneyStore.com, shop Disney Parks. I'm in pretty much all the theme parks, cruise ships, and DisneyFineArt.com to find your local gallery and to carry my work.
And what conventions are you doing? Because we're here at the Great Philly Comic-Con 2018.
Yes.
I know I saw a whole cadre of Disney artists at the New York Comic-Con last year.
Yeah, I do New York usually. I do custom commissions, in New York. And then I'm doing MegaCon in Orlando coming up. Okay. I'm doing Singapore Comic-Con, which is awesome. It's a Reed Pop show, and they're phenomenal. And then there's a couple cons that I don't quite have signed yet, but I'm waiting for the contracts to come through to appear at. So,
cool.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm excited.
Awesome.
All right, thank you for your time.
And find me on Instagram. It's at Mulligan Jimmy. That's MulliganJimmy. So give me a shout out and say hi.
The Irish spelling.
Right. The Irishman.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
very
guys.
much, guys.
And there you go. So we hope you enjoyed that little tidbit. We definitely have more interviews from the con that will be coming out very shortly. In fact,
and from the Great Philly Comic-Con, and then we'll work on the ones we got from Wizard World.
Yes, before we go to New York. Oh wait, Keystone Comic-Con comes before that. So
wait, what's that?
We'll talk about that later, John. So yeah, we'll definitely have more interviews next week because I hope everyone enjoyed JD this week.
I'm on the road again next week.
So
on the road again.
But he's coming back, people. We promise.
I got nothing better to do, so I will be back.
So again, thanks for listening, and please, as we mentioned at the top of the show, it is Pride Month, and we are doing a campaign that we're calling Be an Ally, and you buy any of these special products from our Teespring store, and we're donating 50% of all profits to Project Trevor, which is a great charity that we believe in. And again, if you're a subscriber to the newsletter, make sure that you opened it up this week, because there's a special link to get free shipping on anything from our Teespring store through that link. And if you haven't signed up already, it's superheroespeak.com, and you'll find it on the right-hand side of the page under the still there link for JD's novel. So, on that note, you guys have anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
I'll miss you guys.
We'll miss you too,
Yes.
JD.
All right, boys and girls, on that note, thanks for listening. And as always, don't let your cape caught in the door. Have a good week.